I did say I thought that the transfer window was going to get a little bit crazy as we etch ever closer to the opening day of the Premier League season in just 3 days' time. And, well, it turns out I'm in the know. I'm Indy Carla News. Do you know what I mean? I'm the David Ornstein of Aston. No, I'm not. But I just kind of guessed it. But it's not the news, perhaps, that you thought we would be covering on the channel, because it's not really about incomings today. There will be a video tomorrow and we'll discuss it briefly about Marco Asensio today. But it's actually huge breaking news from both Jacob Tanswell, Fabrizio Romano and the man himself, for me, the GOAT of Twitter transfers, David Ornstein, are all confirming that Aston Villa are closing in on an agreement with Newcastle to sign Jacob Ramsey for a flat £40 million fee. It might be even more, we don't know. We want at least 40 million guaranteed right now. And the AS Roma are closing in on talks to sign Leon Bailey, and it will be an initial loan, hopefully with salary covered, and then an obligation to buy him come the end of the season. So 2 humongous outgoings in the attacking department for Aston Villa. Only the one incoming transfer kind of rumour at the moment, which is Marco Asensio, which has also been tweeted out by Fabrizio Romano as well. It's going to be an interesting few days. So we're going to be looking at Jacob Ramsey, at Leon Bailey, how they've been performing, their salaries for the club, because that's obviously an interesting thing with PSR and SCR and all the other stuff that's going on at the moment with wages and transfers and all that good stuff. And looking at where it leaves Aston Villa, because I'm going to tell you right now, I think it might leave us a little bit short in the attacking sort of department, for want of a better word. So we're going to go through all of that today, but if you are enjoying the content, please do be sure to leave a like, subscribe down below and comment your thoughts on the Asensio and, the Ramsey and Bailey out rumours. Because anyway, if you comment, it helps me out and it helps the video out. So, just do that for me. Do it for me. Right, let's have a look at these guys, because they're both coming off of seasons that perhaps aren't the best in the world. And we are kicking it off with Jacob Ramsey, 24 years of age, current market value of £41 million. So we want £40 million guaranteed in the bank the second he signs that deal with Newcastle. So perhaps they're going to do 40 million and then 1 million on add-ons. Who knows? I remember when Arsenal bid £40 million and a penny for Luis Suarez. Maybe it's going to be one of those ones. But primarily and pretty much only plays on the left wing for Aston Villa. Has struggled with injuries the past couple of seasons. If we look at his season stats here on the right-hand side, you can see that season did manage a decent amount of games, but then 16 games in the Premier League last year. 29 this year. He's had on and off injury concerns over the past sort of 700 calendar days, whatever 2 years is, 365 times 2. Let me do it in my head right now. Oh no, I just realised I can't do that. But anyway, 29 games, 19 starts this season, the 3 assists and just the 1 goal, only managing an average match rating of 6.73, 2 yellow cards and that 1 red card that was, that was one of the stupidest red cards I've ever seen in my life. It was really, really annoying. I think it was against Brentford, if I remember rightly. We can actually flick back through. Where was his red card? I think it was Brentford. Yeah, no, Bournemouth. That was it. Bournemouth. But for this season, as I say, 1 goal, an XG of 1.5, only 4 shots on target in 29 games is pretty abysmal, to be honest with you. A pass accuracy of 86% is very, very good. Puts him in the top 15th percentile for his position. 3 assists, 500 successful passes, cross accuracy of 16.7%. You're a left mid, JJ. You're a left mid or a left winger. That should be higher. 54% long ball accuracy, 65.8% dribble success does put him in the top 5th percentile of players in the Premier League in that position this year. He is also, he's brilliant on the ball. He's powerful. He's a quick dribbler with the ball. He's got good feet. Shields the ball very well, but anything he can do, I'm 99% certain that Morgan Rogers and probably John McGinn can do better. Did win a lot of his duels though. Again, that's going to put him in the top 5th percentile there. But average stats all around. To be fair to the lad, he has won the Premier League Cup and the Queensland Champion Cup, which is, I mean, that's probably a little bit more prestigious than the Europa League, sort of an in-between cup between the Europa and Champions League. But it hasn't worked for JJ this season. But what about Leon Bailey? Has played 146 times for Villa, as you can see. Last season was Leon Bailey's best season of his career, probably. You know, the 15 and 10 for Leverkusen, you could argue, was a good season, but 14 and 13 in this season for Villa. Yes, granted, he did play more games and whatnot, but this season, I mean, God, 14 starts, 24 games in the Premier League, 2 assists and a goal, 1 goal and 1 assist in 8 in the Champions League. And I think what's happened here is a very, very unfortunate situation whereby he had this amazing season last year, you know, 10 goals and 9 assists in the Premier League, 4 goals and 4 assists in the Conference League. We've given him a massive bumper contract under the assumption that he will be a huge player for us this season, and it hasn't worked. He has played very, very poorly, and now we're stuck with a 28-year-old who is on a, well, we're going to get into their salaries a little bit later on. Who's going to take him on? One that's not playing very, very well at all. Now, we're going to not look at his CONCACAF stats. That was for Jamaica. But his stats in the Premier League, again, just the 1 goal. A cross accuracy, oh my word, of 8.8%. A long ball accuracy of 66.7% is okay. But the pass accuracy itself, only 77%. It's really, really poor. Couldn't even complete 50% of his dribbles this season. He completed 22 overall, and defensively I'm not really too worried about him defensively, but as you can see, both of these lads coming off of poor seasons. In terms of Jacob Ramsey and Leon Bailey against their professional peers in Europe's top 5 leagues, so players that play the same position, and this includes Champions League and Europa League stats in here as well, so they will be taken into account all of their cup competitions, the Premier League and Europe, which is always the goal for Aston Villa, as Unai Emery said. First up, we're looking at Jacob Ramsey on the screen, as you can see just over here. And we start off with a lot of these attacking stats at the top, and they're not fantastic viewing, right? 7% for non-penalty goals right up there at the top. 4th percentile for shots total. Assists, he gets a little bit of a boost up to the 65th, but his combined non-penalty expected goals and expected assists. So this is, I think this is a really important stat, and I know some people like XG and XA and some people don't, but ultimately this is a supercomputer AI that's smarter than probably anyone on this planet, calculating to the second decimal point, you know, the amount of goal contributions given their play in general football, 90 minutes of football, you know, 11, 22 men on the pitch, ball at their feet, how much they should be contributing to a team in an offensive sense. And he's in the bottom 18th percentile, and that's quite telling for me for a left winger. His shot creating actions per 90 as well puts him in the bottom 20th percentile. Now, where he does shine, top 2nd percentile, his pass completion. But you kind of counterbalance that with the progressive passes you can see about halfway, and progressive carries and successful take-ons for that matter as well. They're all in the bottom, well, near enough, in the bottom 50th percentile, which goes to show that yes, he is tidy on the ball. Yes, he is neat on the ball. He looks after the ball well. He keeps the ball for his team. But he doesn't really progress it forward, which is a worry for a winger, of course. And then defensively, actually not too bad, bar the clearances and aerial duels won. But if we flick it over to Leon Bailey's stats, you can see the viewing is horrendous. That was actually pretty good seeing. Leave a like for that. Bottom 13th percentile for non-penalty goals. Bottom 16th for non-penalty XG. His combined non-penalty XG and expected assisted goals, bottom 25th percentile. Shot creating actions, bottom 28th. Progressive passes, pass completion and passes attempted, all in the bottom 25th. The bottom quarter of players in Europe top 5 leagues. Defensively, apart from clearances, not doing much for the team at all. Progressive carries, successful take-ons, all half decent. That was Leon Bailey's game. God, do you remember Leon Bailey in that 23-24 season that we qualified for the Champions League? I've genuinely never seen a phenom like it. He was electric. Every time I was at Villa Park, I was lucky enough to go when I lived a little bit closer, semi-regularly that season. Whenever Leon Bailey, or for that matter John Duran, got the ball, Villa Park was on their feet. And now when he gets the ball, we're all moaning. Quickly, in regards to salary for both of these players, before we get into the squad depth and what I think of these deals, and we'll look at the tweets and what's being said about it. Leon Bailey somehow, well, I say somehow, it's because he had that mega season for Villa a couple of years ago, is on £120,000 a week. JJ, with 2 years on his contract left, is on £70,000 a week, but we're going to get into the fact that that won't be remaining at that salary, because we all know why this transfer is being pushed through, and it's because ultimately he wants more money, and that's fair enough. I guess at 24 you kind of want to be thinking, I'm in the prime or coming towards the prime, I want to be earning the most money I can. But those are the two salaries. But how does it leave us squad depth wise before we have a look at these deals and what I think? So as you can see on the screen, this is an updated, and I might have missed a couple of players out, don't shoot the messenger, I'm not including youth players in this, but this is just off the top of my dome, the attacking options for Aston Villa this season. Now, on the right hand side we have Rodgers. I've put stars next to the players that have had to double up, and it's most of them, to be honest with you. So Rodgers primarily played on the right hand side of our attack last season, the majority of his games coming from that side of the pitch. I've put him over there as the starting right mid, because at the moment I'm going off of what Emery done last season and the fact we haven't really upgraded in many of these positions. Yes, we've got Guasson in there as well, and we're going to be getting onto him very shortly, but Emery likes to stick with what he knows. At the moment I think Rodgers is probably the starting player in that right mid position, especially with Leon Bailey being sold. So the depth in that right mid position is Guasson and Donyell Malen. We look at our striker, it's going to be Ollie Watkins up front, we all know that. In terms of depth, we've got Malen and we've also got Guasson again, who can play up front, but again I've put stars next to him. We're going to get into him in a little bit as well. Rodgers, and this is the number 10 here as well, Guasson again involved in that number 10 conversation. Morgan Rodgers has played in that 10, we all like him in the 10, and Yuri Tielemans has played further forward as well. Over on the left, without Jacob Ramsey, it literally leaves us, unless I'm really missing like a glaring thing here, which I don't believe I am, John McGinn, who played a lot of his games in that left mid position for Villa last season, and again Rodgers in his third position there, being the backup left winger. So we'd sorely need a left winger. Now if we get rid of the players that I don't think are going to be featuring in those positions, right, Guasson I don't believe is going to be used as a striker or a number 10. We'll put him right down here in the bottom corner. Now why is this? Aston Villa were thinking about him in January when he started up front last season, and then he had that position change and moved out, and he primarily played on the right hand side as an inside forward over in France, and that is what convinced us to sign him. So if we weren't sure on him as a striker, but we will sign him when he moved out to the right, is he going to be playing in the middle of the park? Probably not, right? So we can have him out there on that right hand side. Now that means that Donyell Malen I don't think is going to be getting the nod to start on that right hand side. Why would we specifically sign a player for there? We've seen in pre-season Malen has been out on that right hand side, but also when Watkins isn't playing is in that role. So I think he's probably going to be, we'll put the bench players over here on the right. And again it begs the question, will Guasson, we know that Emery likes to bed players in, will he get the nod to start over Morgan Rodgers on that right hand side? Well, it's interesting because I think, and we'll put Malen down here as well because that's the starred one, I think Rodgers might be being moved into that middle. I do have a feeling. Played both in the middle and on the left in pre-season, but I think primarily I'm hoping we see him as that number 10. I don't think that he wants Tielemans in that number 10 role. Obviously there's the talk of Asensio coming in, but we'll say for now Rodgers is going to start on that side, and Tielemans we're going to put down here because again Tielemans is going to be probably playing in that double pivot role with Kamara. Whether Onana is going to be getting those starts I don't know. That means Rodgers can't start there, which means that John McGinn at the moment for me is getting the nod on that side of the pitch. So with Ramsey and with Bailey being sold, we have one sub, one player to cover all of these positions, and that is Donyell Malen. We need some signings badly. So in regards to the Jacob Ramsey stuff, I'll throw up the Fabrizio Romano tweet up there. It looks like that is in advanced stages and that will be done in the next couple of days. Now, a couple of other people tweeted out that it's a crunch day for Ramsey. He's negotiating and rejected a new contract at Aston Villa a couple of times because he wants £125,000 a week. We're not willing, I think, to meet that valuation. So it looks like the Newcastle deal will happen. Now, up in the screen here is firstly the David Ornstein tweet confirming that Roma are in advanced talks for Leon Bailey, and there's also some other clubs, including clubs from Saudi and Turkey, involved as well. And then Jacob Tanswell confirming that it's to a point where he's considering, or we're considering, asking him to train away from the first team whilst it gets concluded. So all of that says to me is that both of these players are on their way out, and Asensio covers a number 10 gap, which makes me think that maybe Rodgers might be playing out on the left or right. I really don't know. It's so hard to tell what Emery's plans are at the moment, but it means that for me that we need two signings now. We need two attackers in the club, and we need them right now. I think we also need a right back. I think we also need a right-footed centre-back, but the talk on JD Camveau has gone quiet. I think Lamar Bagard is being almost retrained as a fully right-footed centre-back now for us, but I think the right-back position still is one that might need looking at. Andres Garcia, let's talk about him leaving as well. We definitely need two attackers. 110% we need two attackers in the club right this second. So it's going to be an interesting few days. So if you are enjoying all that stuff, leave a like down below. We'll be covering it all on this channel. But let me know what you think. Leon Bailey and Jacob Ramsey on their way out of Aston Villa. How are we going to cope without them? I don't know.